Keep that round of applause going for this guy, very funny, Mr. Ruben Pickett, ladies and gentlemen, Ruben Pickett! Woo! Keep it going!
Hello, can you hear me? Just a shout out to Teresa Tomikowski. I am kicking myself in the ass for quitting the synagogue 2 years ago. I have to be careful tonight. I have to mellow it down because right now I'm in the middle of a lawsuit for stealing another comedian's material. You don't want to hear about it, okay? I guess not. Anyway, I wear these horizontal stripes. So it's I keep the shirt out so you don't realize. Hey, Joe Grassi, listen. If I had picked a lower number, you'd be stealing my act tonight. Anyway, I guess the big story in the news lately is the NFL, and things are just getting worse for Ray Rice. He lost his NFL contract, you all know that already, right? And when you lose the contract, you lose the dream mansion. He was building the house of his dreams. Work stopped immediately when he lost the contract. That house was going to have 11 bathrooms, 3 tennis courts, a bowling alley, and an elevator in the shape of an octagon. But don't feel too bad for Ray, because he'll probably get the money back in another way. As a matter of fact, boxing promoter Don King has already stepped up. He is dangling a $10 million purse for the rights to the rematch, to be held, interestingly enough, on an escalator in Macy's. But don't get your hopes up, because Janae, the wife, has already put the kibosh on that whole idea. She said, and I quote, "If I get me a $10 million purse, Ray's just going to knock me out again." Besides, they don't sell $10 million purses in Macy's. No, they don't. Did anyone see the video? The video was disturbing. It was shocking. Did anyone hear the audio? The audio was hilarious. Anyone hear? It was only 3 words. You kind of see them bickering in the hallway before they get to the elevator. And when couples bicker, they bicker about anything. If you say day, she'll say night. If she says black, you'll say white. So you can tell something's going on. By deduction, I think they were just arguing about which way the elevator was going to go. She probably wanted to go up to, because you see, they get into the elevator doors close, and then you hear Ray saying, "You're going down." At this point, I would be remiss if I didn't say that domestic violence is a very serious issue. I would not only be remiss, but when I got home, my wife would kick my ass. And domestic violence is also something that's generational. It's, in a sense, it gets handed down. We have to stop the cycle. That was also the case with Janae Palmer, Ray's wife. Janae's mother, Tempura Palmer, was also the subject of domestic violence 20 years ago. Tempura, fortunately, was only lightly battered. Janae, she keeps blaming the press for keeping the focus on this, but it's really partly her fault. I mean, she gave some pretty wacky answers to the police report. The very first question the police always ask is, is this occurring all the time? And I read the police report. They said to Janae, "Has Ray ever cold cocked you before?" And she said, "Nah, we always use that warm and KY gel." Okay, let's change gears completely, okay? Let's talk about NFL running back Adrian Peterson. These guys are dropping like flies. I feel a little bad for Adrian. Adrian is in trouble. I don't know if his offense was disciplining his 4-year-old son with a switch. And I guess the switch left some marks on the 4-year-old son. And what people don't realize is that's fairly commonplace in the South, to discipline with a switch. Okay, if you don't realize, I do have a dog in this fight. Even though I grew up in the North 40 years ago, my dad used a switch to discipline me. And I quickly learned that at dinner time, once I sat down, and my ankles and wrists strapped in, that if I didn't want him to flip that switch and send 10,000 bullets through me, I better eat all night peace. And I grew up without any ill effects. So I go easy on him. There must be some other violent athletes in the news. Oscar Pistorius. Are you all familiar with Oscar's story? Well, fortunately for Oscar, he beat the rap. He beat the big charge. He beat the murder one charge. Amazing. And the day he beat the murder one charge, men across the globe started losing sleep. Because men all over the place now are waking up at 3 a.m., nudging their wives, saying, "Shh, you hear that, honey? Shh, shh, shh. I heard it again. Okay, I'm gonna get the gun, you head to the bathroom. Honey, don't forget your mother." She doesn't live with us. She can be here in 5 minutes. What I wanted to do for you tonight was an invitation that I've been working on. But my wife said, no one ever knows who you're doing. And I thought about it for a second, and I realized she's right. But the light bulb went on. I came up with a way that I could guarantee that the people will know who I'm doing. So she said, if you can guarantee it, then I could do it. So I'm going to do an invitation for you, and I can guarantee, I hope, that you'll know who I'm doing. Bear with me for 1 second. Close your eyes. I can tell by your reaction that at least a tiny handful of you recognize who I am. And for those of you who do not recognize who I am, I just gave you a clue. It's Sanjali's pet name for me, Tiny Handful. I am doing this on a dare from Sanjali. Sandra said if I come up here, I can entertain, I can change my image. I know what people say. People say I'm vengeful, that I'm petty, that I'm vindictive. That's nonsense. I am not petty. By the way, I told Sandra, I cannot stand up here and do juvenile jokes. How do you make 5 pounds of fat attractive? Attach a nipple to the end. Jokes like that are beneath the dignity of the office of the governor of the great state of New York. I will not do jokes like that. I will not stick to that. I am much safer, much better off just talking politics. People ask me, can you talk to Sandra Lee about Obamacare, controversial subjects? And I say, I talk to Sandra Lee about Obamacare in the morning, at night. It's not controversial. We can agree to disagree about Obamacare. If you want to see sparks fly from your significant other, and I've done this personally, my friend, forget about Obamacare. Try bringing up Bushcare. You don't want to bring up Bushcare. You don't want to say, I want to trim Bushcare. I want to eliminate Bushcare completely like the Brazilians. You do not leave Bushcare alone. You do not want to touch Bushcare, my friend. If you go there, you will never go there again. And you know what I mean. So, no, sparks will fly, my friend. Like Governor Christie Power walking on a rusty treadmill. Sparks will fly, my friend. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like Hillary having an epiphany as to how those polka dots got on that blue dress. Sparks will fly, my friend. You know, I make it a point, I have never spoken in public about my ex-wife, Kerry Kennedy. I do that out of respect for my 3 lovely daughters. I always leave Kerry Kennedy out of it. But I will tell you one anecdote tonight. How I knew that we were not the perfect match. When Kerry Kennedy first married into the Cuomo dynasty, That's how we like to look at it. We like to look at it like that. On our wedding night, we had just come back from a lovely dinner. We had returned to the presidential suite in the Hampton Inn in Utica, New York. A lovely place, no longer there, it's now a Moe's Burrito. And we were settling in for our honeymoon night. It was going to be terrific. And in the pitch blackness of the night, as she snuggled into the crook of my arm, I prepared to do my best imitation, to bring a smile to her face. We did not have the same sense of humor. So she snuggles in, and I say to her in the black of the night, ask not what I can do for you, ask what you can do for me, and together we'll go to the moon. Well, suffice to say, we did not go to the moon that night. We did not go to the moon that night. She was livid. She went ballistic. She said to me, in the pitch blackness, there is nothing you could have done to turn me off more than that invitation. Put aside that she didn't know if I was doing JFK or Katharine Hepburn. Completely irrelevant. Nothing more that I could have done to turn her off. So I thought to myself for a nanosecond, and I responded, perhaps tonight, that's the night to introduce you to Turkey Dick. We'll leave Turkey Dick aside for tonight then. Well, let me just say, I hope that Sanjali is right, that perhaps I've changed your perception of me a little bit. I'll give it one last shot if I have not. As many of you know, I've just defeated a young lady named Zephyr Teachout for the Democratic nomination. That is her true name, Zephyr Teachout. And to show there's no hard feelings, I have written a song for Zephyr Teachout.